Hello my friends, I hope you're doing well. My name is Mars and this is the Starlit Library. Today I want to talk to you about my winter TBR. So this is kind of going to span the time from December to February, so a couple of these I already have read, but I figured better late than never. So, since it being the season of hibernation, I really want to include some books that have a very escapist feel. A book that you can really feel cozy with or feel like you're going into a completely new world. And so there's definitely a lot of fantasy on here, but I'm also kind of itching for some other genres. And so let's get started. One of my main priority reads of 2025 was The Starless Sea, and I wanted to read this by the end of the year. And so, as you can see with all these beautiful annotations, I did finally get to this. This is the last book that I read in 2025, and it was incredible, and it was literally exactly the type of vibe and the world and atmosphere that I was looking for. So if you have any other recommendations that are similar to this and really you feel the coziness, but they're still kind of high stakes and lovable characters in a very mysterious world, please give me your recommendations because I love this so much. So this was definitely on my winter TBR and thankful that it was read. Another one that I've been meaning to read for years is the sequel to Caraval, and it's Legendary. And I read Caraval, I think in 2022, and I just never continued. I think mostly because I had left this physical copy at my parents' house for the longest time and didn't bring it back with me. And so finally, after spending time with them this Christmas, I brought this back so that I can actually get to it. And I feel like this would definitely give me a very similar vibe to this with the very atmospheric world and the magic of it. So I think this might be definitely one of the next books that I pick up. Another one, just because I've been itching to get back into this world and trying to unravel the politics and the mystery, is The Warrior Prophet. This was the first thing that I picked up when I came back home, and I'm about a third of the way through now, and I'm loving it. The first book was The Darkness That Comes Before, and for me, honestly, it was kind of mediocre in the sense that I kind of expected a bit more from it, but it was still really good in the sense that it had a lot of intrigue, and I'm really happy to get back into this world because there's so much mystery around one character in particular, but also just the machinations of the politics and how all of it is gonna come together in the end. So this has been an incredible read so far. Another one on my TBR that I'm in the middle of right now is The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow. I picked this up mostly because I've heard good things about the author, and this is one of her works that has been most intriguing to me. And I'm in the middle of it now. I think I'm only about 40% of the way through. And I think it's interesting, and I think I like the concept of the story, but there's something about it that once I'm reading, I will keep on reading. But at the same time, when I'm not reading it, I don't really feel the pull to pick it up. Because I know a lot of it is going to be repetition because of the way the plot is structured. It's about this knight and I guess a historian that are 1,000 years apart, but they somehow travel in time to each other multiple times. And so far the writing is really accessible, easy to read, and also poetic at times, which is really nice, and it's beautiful. But there's also just something about it where I'm not super jazzed to pick it up. So I'm not sure, I'm kind of getting through it relatively slowly, but I do want to see how the story plays out. Another book that I don't have physically, but I'm much more intrigued to pick up soon is House of the Beast by Michelle Wong. I really want to pick this up to help me with my r/fantasy bingo challenge, because this is a 2025 debut book. Um, and so I like that this would kind of help me complete some prompts for some challenges that I'm participating in. And this one sounds very interesting. All I know is that there's this girl who's from an affluent family, and she has a robotic arm, and then there's a boy character who I think is a ghost or a demon or something, and I'm not really sure what else, but I'm very intrigued by it because I remember seeing like the promo videos or descriptions about this book from Michelle Wong's Instagram page before it came out, and I was immediately intrigued. So this has been on my radar for a while. Next, kind of going away from the fantasy genre, I would like to pick up more classics this year. I'm not much of a classics person, but also I just haven't really given the chance to reading many. But anyways, I would really like to pick up White Nights by Dostoevsky this winter. This beautiful copy my boyfriend got for me because this is one of his favorite books, and so I'd really like to get to it soon to be able to discuss it with him. And this is actually a collection of 3 of Dostoevsky's stories. There's A Nasty Business, The Meek One, and White Nights. So I think for now, I'm just going to pick up White Nights, but I think it's cool that I get to test a couple more of Dostoevsky's stories, because I also have Crime and Punishment on my shelf that I would love to get to soon, but this will be a nice little taste test for his writing. When I was coming back from the States, I stopped by the beautiful bookstores in the airport, and I actually picked up Blackouts by Justin Torres. This is, I can just see my fingerprints. I love this cover, first of all, with the little, I think it's a hyena. And this is a multimedia. Can't really show very much because I know there are some nude photos in here, so it's multimedia, and it's supposed to be a very heartbreaking look into a queer person's story, I believe. It's I think it's conducted kind of in an interview style of this person telling their story, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna talk a lot about the AIDS crisis as well, from what I can remember. I, like many others and many of you, like to go into my stories pretty blind and kind of just be absorbed by the story and as it comes, so I don't really want to know much more about this, but I think this is going to be a really not fun, I think it's going to be really depressing, but a really interesting reading experience because of all of the mixed media formats. And the font, like, all of it is printed in a dark brown color, which I just find that really refreshing, and I really like that. So I hope this makes me cry. I would really like more emotional and like gripping stories, so I definitely look forward to that from this book. Other possibilities that I have on hold at my library is the library at Mount Char. I've only heard incredible things about this book, and that it's like insane, out of your mind, and I don't know anything about it. I don't want to know anything about it. I almost got spoiled for like some parts of the plot, but like, don't tell me anything about it, and I am really intrigued. I really want to pick that up soon. Also, at my physical library here, they have a really small English section, but what they do have is the Golden Compass series by Philip Pullman, and it just seems like the perfect winter read. I loved the Golden Compass movie when I was a kid, and didn't know or just didn't realize, didn't pick up the books, but now I have this book, which is The Book of Dust by Philip Pullman, which apparently is a spin-off series, or a prequel series, I believe, of the Golden Compass. So in order to get to this, I would really like to read the Golden Compass series first, and depending on the publishing, it's either called Northern Lights or the Golden Compass. I don't know why, but I actually really look forward to that. I think it would be a very atmospheric and very magical story that would bring me back to my childhood. I've also really been called to read Of Blood and Fire by Ryan Cahill, but before this, I would like to read the novella prequel called The Fall, and it's only like maybe less than 100 pages, and I've taste tested it before and read a couple pages from it before, and it definitely does seem intriguing and that it could set up a lot more interest in reading this as well. The thing is that I like getting physical copies of the rest of these books is very expensive. I've only seen the next book come up as being like 30 euros, and so it's a lot, and also they get like much bigger, and so that would take up a lot of space on my shelves. So I think after I finish this, I might just have to pick them up as ebooks. A pretty big goal that what I would like to get to, I forgot to talk about it in my goals video before, but I would really like to kind of make my way through big series, and I know I'm already in the middle of a bunch of series, so I think one of my next videos is going to be a series audit where I talk about what I'm in the middle of and what I want to pick up next, and one of them is, drumroll please, Empire of Silence. I picked this up 2 years ago and was so excited to get to it. I read the first chapter and then for some reason, I don't know, I don't think I felt ready for it, or maybe I was in the middle of a lot of other big books as well, but I really want to make my way through more than one of these books because there's like 7 this year. They are also pretty expensive to get my hands on, but I believe it would be worth it, and I believe that I'm going to love this, and I would really like to at least start it at the beginning of the year. So we'll see. I'll keep you updated, obviously. Another one that I don't have physically, but I really want to get to within the winter, maybe if not during now in January, February, then maybe in December, is A Haunting in the Arctic by C.J. Cook. I've had my eye on this for a while, and I think it might have come up on previous TBRs, I'm not sure, but it's like a haunting, maybe a ghost story, I'm not really sure what will be haunting, I guess we'll find out, but a ship that's going through the Arctic, and so that just sounds really fun. I would really like to continue getting through different types of horror books so that I can continue to understand my taste and understand what kind of horror I like to read. Another interesting book that came on my radar while I was just perusing Libby is Strange and Perfect Account from the Permafrost by Donald Niedecker, and this is translated, I believe, from Dutch, but I could be mistaken. And this is like a very strange kind of magical realism type of story where it's giving an account of I guess a sailor or an explorer who died while in an Arctic, while doing an Arctic exploration, I believe, and it's like also is kind of historically accurate or historical fiction where it talks about some actual historical events that happened in Russia, I believe. And so I sampled a little bit of this on Libby, and I was reading a bit, and I might continue. I think this is definitely something, like, I love just discovering something that I've never heard of before, and it's a very new translation, and spreading the word if it's something that would be like good to recommend, or just, you know, shedding more light on these books that I've never heard of before. And so I think this is, I'm pretty sure this is a pretty short book as well, so I might continue and read this one as well, because Another one of my goals is to read more nonfiction, so I would like to at least try and read one per month. And for my in-person book club here, we actually chose a nonfiction book, and I just finished that last week, and it's In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts by Gabor Mate, and it talks about addiction. And Gabor Mate, if you studied psychology at all, he is a very prolific psychologist. He really put a lot more of a humanistic view, because a lot of people kind of tend to view addicts as less than, and they make their ego much bigger and inflated and tend to look at addicts as less than human when they are human. And they are people that are dealing with traumas that happened that were usually in childhood that were well beyond that person's control. And so it was a very deep, intimate look into the lives of addicts and the works that he does, as well as bringing to our attention a lot of the neurobiology and just the biological processes, as well as the psychological processes of a lot of these addictions being the result of trauma. So it was a very enlightening read. Another nonfiction that came up while I was perusing Libby is called The Comfort of Crows by Margaret Renkel. And I believe it's kind of like an autobiography or just a biography, and talking a lot about nature and how the author was just looking out of her backyard, and every month or every day I think she would be like writing things about the animals that she saw, and the process of nature. It seems like a very comforting read, also because it spans the entire year, and I believe that it also has illustrations, so I really look forward to picking this one up. I think I'm gonna stop it here because this is already too much. Even though these are gonna span from January to the end of February, so it's still a pretty big stack, as well as the ones that I don't have physically. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, listening to me yap about my winter TBR. Go ahead and subscribe if you would like to come back and hear some updates about how well I'm getting through this TBR. If you want to leave a comment, tell me what book you're most looking forward to reading, or give me a recommendation that you think really encapsulates the winter atmosphere. And I hope you have an amazing day and are looking forward to what you're reading. Bye.